Ladies, welcome to this video, and this is called Jerry here, and welcome to this series of video that I'm gonna be starting on, which I wanted to entitle Understanding the Evil, okay? And again, it sounds funny because realistically, like there is no evil when it comes to food, to nutrition. There is only the context of things, and when it comes to context, is important if you are type 2 diabetes or if you have insulin resistance, much like I had myself. It is important to understand that there is no evil, while still, like when you go on the internet and you're probably so confused and usually more frustrated and confused than ever because you're looking for information that are so controversial and so never clear, and in which they tell you that there is, this food is evil, this is the right way to do things, and there is only one way to do it. And so I wanted to start this one with specifically talking about sweeteners and sugar, and if they elevate or not your blood sugar and furthermore insulin. And it is something that you quote unquote can have into your diet, because one of the main thing that I read when I go into groups, when I read articles, is this question: can I have this into my coffee? Can I add sugar or Splenda or Trulia or whatever the case is inside my coffee? And can I use this, or should I just use honey, or should I just use this specific, this specific sugar or sugar twin? And then there is, in the other hand, there is this idea that if you eat quote unquote healthy, like for example fresh juice or avocado or coconut or whatever the case is, which might also include some sort of sugar. This is healthy just because it's organic, right? So today I'm going to answer to the question, the burning question: can I have sweeteners? Are they healthy? And can I use those or anything that includes sweeteners, by the way, inside my diet if I'm diabetic or if I have insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome? So in other words, I asked a question inside my group and I had a poll and saying, are these specific foods or sweeteners responsible for you to gain weight, right? Or do they elevate blood sugar? And the answer is, on a nutshell, no, they don't elevate blood sugar. Okay, so they're, technically they would be perfectly fine to have. There is something though that people must understand. And again, it's always come down to the context of things. There is this idea of trigger food and there is idea of buffer food. A trigger food is something that you have and that it triggers a response, not a blood response, but more of a psychological response of you having more food, right? A buffer food is something that you eat or drink that get you to satisfy your hunger or cravings and then get you to stop. What they do, sugar twins or sweetener, they basically tell your body, the taste of sweet gives your body almost a response. I mean, you will technically produce a little bit of insulin. There will be a little bit of spike of blood sugar, but it's not going to be significant for you to change your physiology. Therefore, like, it's not really going to impact much like you would get if you even sometimes if you just get like some fruits or a lot of fruits, it would be more than those. But what they will do, like psychologically, it will give you this benefit or kind of like saying to your body, oh, okay, I'm eating something sweet right now. So if you get the diet Coke or the diet pop or whatever the case is, and this is enough for you to satisfy your cravings and then not having to binge on anything else, is perfectly fine to have. If instead this is going to make you binge or other things, it's not a good idea to have that. Okay, so like you do need to understand that part. But in a nutshell, before I share my screen, because I always want to get into a little bit of a deeper conversation and teach you a few things more than just saying this is okay, this is not okay. In a nutshell, it really comes down to understanding that there is no evil, right? And you can perfectly use them, but you need to understand context. Okay, so if I share things here, right? I would like to point out, starting from the better, if you want to call it this way, to the worse. One more time, let's see if I can share this. So when it comes to to sweeteners or sugar or whatever, anything that spike your blood less or zero, like you'll find this stuff online, like which of course most of things such as included on diet Coke or anything usually spikes zero, right? Are very good for you to use in coffees, in cooking things, into other things, because essentially like your body will not feel like you having sugar. Like you will feel like you satisfying something sweet, right? But you're not having sugar. Therefore, really, this is something productive. Like this has been ages. You know, I remember my grandma when, you know, she still was alive, and she had diabetes when I was like something like 10 years old or 15 years old, right? So it was more than like, I want to say 25, 30 years ago. She would have things such as aspartame in her coffee. Okay, so you know it's not something that people cannot use. Taking away all this thing from you is just going to make your life most miserable, and obviously it makes no sense, especially if you already have to restrict any kind of food. But when it comes to the best one, like I said, that those are probably one of the best one. But now I want to share something that you would find probably some other types, and I have no idea why I cannot see this. Let me just see if I can just close this off. There we go. Okay. You would find things and this is one of the things I want you to understand. You know, there is xylitol, one of my favorite. But again, when it comes to xylitol, you see it spikes something like not zero, it's something like 10, 15. It's not significant, but this is much more this is much more like a sugar twin. This is much more the consistency of sugar, okay? And it's much healthier. This is the best thing if you want to use to cook with, compared to something like sugar, rather than making let's say a cake or something with Splenda or something of that nature, which will still impact sugar spikes a little bit. But again, what I want to point out that people mostly probably don't want to understand is that when it comes to thinking that these things are unhealthy or they have chemical processes or the way they've been built up, they cause cancer and all that stuff. What I want you to understand is that it's always about context. Like something cancer, for example, is multifactorial, and there are several other things which usually include people being overweight or severely inactive, alongside with other genetical components. That, you know, something chemical, made up chemical, or just better said, like if you take a sugar and then you process that and you make xylitol out of that, you know, it's a much better choice than just you going into using quote unquote what is nowadays has been defined as organic, and then like people think that this is just healthy. Okay, when it comes to consuming organic stuff, like you heard several hundred times, that as long as you eat fresh juice, it's amazing, great for you, right? Or if you eat dates, or if you eat honey, and that stuff, and you see the difference. You see the difference how much this spikes your blood sugar. Okay, so rather than just use those things, unless you just do them very rarely, is a better idea for you to use any sort of sweeteners. But a caveat is that, of course, when it comes to understanding stuff, and this is how people usually, you know, necessarily try to go for something like using a specific sweeteners, and then they say, oh, you know, I've been using that to cook, I've been using that, and then I'm still not losing weight. You need to understand that to lose weight and balance your blood sugar, when it comes to balancing, reversing insulin resistance, you balance your blood sugar first, you balance your hormone. As a result, your metabolism is stable. And as a result, then you start losing weight. To lose weight, though, you still need to create a calorie deficit, okay? When it comes to xylitol, we'll use xylitol because it is a sugar twin. It's not like a sweetener, it's a sugar twin, okay? So it's not like but you'll see that in 100 grams, okay, it's still 200 something calories, okay? So when you would take regular sugar, it's about 400 calories. So that means that you can still include stuff inside your diet, but you do need to understand that there is a component of you need to understand that, I mean, you still need to know what you're doing, right? So when it comes to as you see, this is what I wanted to point out this as well. Like, as you see here, this is a graph showing you that sugar, glucose, will spike insulin a lot, right? When it comes to artificial sweeteners, swerve, like all these things, like you see, they're all on the bottom. So like there is some going more or less, but it's gonna be essentially the same, right? But what I want you to point out that when you cook something, and this is really why it's useful, because again, like you know that now you know that okay, the sweeteners are okay, but as long as you just use them in the coffee, you will probably get the benefit of cooking stuff with it, right? And if you do not do that, and you do not pay attention that even sweeteners have calories, and like you still need to look at the quantity, and you still gonna have a different impact, you know, the one makes no sense. So let's say this healthy low calorie muffin, right? And as you see here, to create a lower calorie version muffins is very simple. Why a muffin is bad and why people really give a bad reputation to carbohydrates is because usually they show you, oh, carbs are bad for you. And they show you this stuff. This stuff is full of fat, right? Right? Most people would put, like the regular one is full of fat. But if you take a proper flour, this is a, you know, whatever flour, right? As you see here, granulated, 1 cup of sweetener of your choice, right? 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Instead of using full milk, you can use almond milk, or you can use skim milk, or you can use any sort of that nature. Essentially, you go from making a 300 calorie muffin to 80 calorie muffin. And this is gonna make a huge difference inside your life, okay? And you can find all this info, everything is online. You could type healthy version of lava cake, chocolate lava cake, right? Or cookies, or whatever case might be. Like if you learn what are the bases of cooking, you can make all healthy version of banana muffin, or whatever the case is. And again, I'll be tagging you when my cookbook is ready as well. Like, you know, we're doing one specific cookbook specifically for people with insulin resistance. But you understand, like, this is the basic. Like, you need to understand not only that sugar, twins, or sweetener are good, but you need to understand how to integrate that into your life when you cook. But you need to understand that there are caveats. You still need to know, you know, the calorie into it. You still need to check those things out. And of course, last but not least, you need to understand that the components that you need really gonna make a huge difference is how good of a control mechanism you have. Meaning, like, if you eat those specific foods or use specific sweeteners, and then like this impacts your hunger a lot more, maybe it's not a good idea, right? But if you restricting stuff and you say, no, I'm not drinking that specific Coke, Diet Coke, because it's gonna spike my sugar, then that's a wrong thought process, okay? So with this being said, this is a start of the, hopefully, a very good series of understanding the evil. This is how I wanted to call it, because there is no essential evil, but there are things that you probably still need to learn. But with this being said right now, okay, I want you to comment down below and let me know what is the sweetener of the choice that you're doing, or also what do you use what do you use sweetener for inside your life. This is Jerry here. Talk to you soon. I'm gonna be in touch. Bye-bye.